This video is about adding fractions, which you might have to do on your MSR this week. So just a little reminder, if you have a fraction like 1/2, and you have to add that to another fraction of 1/4, the denominator tells you how big the size of your piece is. So for example, a 1/2 size, right, that might look like this. If I'm trying to add that to a 1/4 size piece, it's going to be difficult because you can't actually specify how many pieces of a certain size you have because you're trying to combine things that are different sizes. So like, for example, if you were trying to tell someone how many quarters and how many dimes you had, so if I had 2 quarters and 3 dimes, ready? So I have, dime, dime, dime. Then it'd be hard to say how much money you have unless you made these into the same thing, like cents. Then I would say, well, I have 25 cents and 25 cents, and then I could actually start combining. So fractions work in the same way. I'd need to be able to make them the same size piece because I could say, well, I have this many of this size piece. So for example, for this one, if I cut this in half, now I've got 2 1/4 size pieces and another 1/4 size piece. So I have 3 1/4 size pieces. 3 1/4 size pieces. So when we add fractions, it's important to make the size of the piece the same. So how do we actually do that? We do that by making a common denominator. So for example, in this case, we changed 1/2 into 2 1/4 size pieces. So I just represent this a different way, but I don't change the value of it. I just represent it differently. So let's look at a couple examples. So for example, if I had to add something like 3/8 to 1/5, clearly these are not the same size piece. This is an 1/8 and this is a 1/5. So what I need to do is I need to turn them into something that they can be that's common. So what I can do is I can turn these both into 40th. How do I get that? Well, I know that 8 times 5 is going to be 40, so both of them can go into 40. So you're looking for a number that both of these numbers can go into. So if this is out of 40 and this is out of 40, well, if I'm taking 1/5, okay, let's do this. 1, 2. That wasn't done well, sorry. Okay, so if I have 1/5, right, and I want to turn it into a 40th size piece, then I actually have to break this apart, right, so that there's 40 total. So I'd have to break it up by 8 going this direction so that there's 40 total blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now what I'd have 8 out of a total of 40. So how do I get that? I mean, quicker than just drawing a picture. I can multiply this by 8 and I can multiply this by 8 because that's what I did. I made each of these 8 times bigger. And so now I have 8 little blocks, 40th size pieces. Here's my 40th size pieces. Okay, no, and I'm going to do the same thing here. And this would be the same if you were going to draw a picture. But I know I could just multiply by 5 and multiply by 5. And now I've got 15 40ths and 8 40ths. And when I add 15 40ths to 8 40ths, I get a total of 23 40ths. So that's how you add fractions.